man Easy, inviting you to tune in. It's all about everything agriculture with the man Banky and Company alongside Yason Tafari. It's your weekly educational show. And tune in. It's inspirational, educational, and you won't want to miss it. It's everything agriculture. Hey, this man Easy, inviting you to tune in. It's all about everything agriculture with the man Banky and Company alongside Yason Tafari. It's your weekly educational show. And tune in. It's inspirational, educational, and you won't want to miss it. It's everything agriculture. Hey, this man Easy, inviting you to tune in. It's all about everything agriculture with the man Banky and Company alongside Yason Tafari. It's your weekly educational show. And tune in. It's inspirational, educational, and you won't want to miss it. It's everything agriculture. Hey, this man Easy, inviting you to tune in. It's all about everything agriculture with the man Banky and Company alongside Yason Tafari.
Okay, Banky, mic can pause now. So, Banky, you mic mute now, so you need to take off your mic now. Okay, global greetings, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Everything Agriculture. We are here. Yes, now you're in. So, welcome. I'll
right.
just let you get introduction. Just go straight into it.
Yes. Good evening and welcome to the Everything Agriculture Show. I'm your host Banky and my other host Yason Tafari, all the way in California. As usual, I've been doing this for a long time. If you're a first-time listener, welcome to the Everything Agriculture Show. It's an educational show where we talk about everything agriculture as its own, where we promote the agriculture industry, from agro-processing to animal husbandry, also the marine environment, and also we give basically free advice for anyone who have that interest in the agricultural sector. And we promote those behind the scene when it comes to making the value-added products out of farm, because agriculture is one that is not gender biased. So most of the time you're buying a product, you don't know who making them or who is growing them and stuff like that. So we're here to move agriculture from the bottom of the pit and put it up to the top where it's really, truly meant to be, because without agriculture, we all don't exist. And it is sad throughout the Caribbean and other part of the world where we have agriculture at the bottom and we don't seek to invest in it, and yet we realize put our money in other places. So this is what the agriculture show is all about. And usually we also promote the cannabis. So we also speak about the cannabis industry and what's going on with the ganja. So this evening we'll have this topic will basically run around food security, but more or less around more cannabis and the drug squad. So we tell everybody to tune in, because the squad have been going on by the Nevis and harassing the people and just walking in the people's yard and take up the weed and tell them only one they're supposed to have. So we got a lot to talk about, because the community really getting upset about this, and these are working people within the community and working at different aspects around, and they really would mess with their jobs, so and giving them all kind of crazy fines and charges and stuff like that. So definitely we'll get into some discussion. But let me say good evening to the folks in Oli and Liamiga. I want to see the name put in our travel documents and everything that is documented here have on Oli and Liamiga, and go along with them all pirates name there. It's about time we take our true culture and put it where it's really meant to be, and keep this island as the indigenous names, and rename all our streets and all these things. Very important, and still remain by telling the stories. We can never forget. That's the right thing to do. So good evening to the folks in the neighboring islands, Saban Station, St. Bart's, St. Martin, also the folks in the British Virgin Islands and the US Virgin Islands also the folks living in Antigua and Barbuda, also the folks in Montserrat, Martinique, Guadeloupe, and also in St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, folks over in Barbados, and wherever to the sound of my voice throughout the Caribbean. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. Also folks in the diaspora, North America, all the way up to Canada, folks over in Alaska, and as far as down to the Florida Keys, Atlanta, New York, Boston, Chicago. Greatly appreciate the guys tuning in, and also the folks over in Europe and Asia, all the different time zone. You really could be doing something and getting some rest, but you make sure you all dedicate your time willingly and choose to listen to Everything Agriculture Show. The show is only, it is because of what you all tend to listen, make your inputs, and we're not taking you all for granted. And also appreciate when each one meet me and let me know they be listening and they enjoying the topics and enjoying the shows and stuff like that. So greatly appreciate it. Yes, son, let me take this call and continue on the mic.
All right, global greetings, everyone, and it's a pleasure myself to be here with you on another edition of Everything Agriculture. It's always a pleasure to have to be in your company and to be able to engage you on the topic of agriculture. Well, as Banky mentioned, cannabis is now a part of agriculture, so it's not like we have to even necessarily separate it. It is actually deemed an agricultural crop, and it is, well, at least one aspect of it is being placed under the Ministry of Agriculture. And as I'm listening to some of the utterances of Banky here, it raises a lot of concern for me, and it is concerning in this light. For me, I am approaching it from this angle. I think it is time for our people to recognize that in a lot of the issues that we are dealing with, it is not a matter of partisan politics. It is not a matter of which party you support or who representative you support. A lot of these issues are national issues. And in regards to what I would have heard Banky uttered in relation to what is happening on the ground on Nevis,
Sorry.
yes, we have to, at this point, single out those who are responsible for addressing those issues and helping to deal with what is absolutely necessary and what should not be, because people should not be harassed if indeed laws are already gazetted and in place. And specifically because Banky addressed Nevis, this is one of the major concerns that we have been hearing long before 2019, but let's say from 2019, since they would have passed the laws in the federal house. From since then, we have been begging, pleading, asking for those who are in authority to come to the public and explain to the public what are their rights and what they can and cannot do in relation to cannabis, so that there is no misconceptions, there's no doubts. Now, when I listen to some of the things that Banky is alleging here, it means that apart from not even us, who they have not spoken to, because we have not heard anything from the Minister of Agriculture. We have never heard the Minister of Agriculture speak or engage or propose to have any open discussion or public discussion in relation to cannabis. If a response, it would have to be prompted by a question or placed in a position where he has to or have to make a response where that is concerned. There has never been any efforts to educate the masses, and seemingly based on what is happening in relation to what Banky is saying that the police is doing on Nevis, then it seems also that the police and the law enforcement agencies and officers themselves also are not being informed and updated either, because from all of the discussions that I would have heard, it
But yeah,
clearly
yeah,
spoke
son. But
to
yeah,
us.
son. But okay, let me say this because it seems that the community look to me for a lot of things when it comes to cannabis because of I'm out there and advocating for it and stuff like that and taking in the general public, educating, cause that's what I'm doing, educating. And from since, I mean, ever since, so they tend to, some people have the aspect that I'm from the cannabis authority, I'm working for the federal government. So I keep have to be dispelling all these things. I'm telling them I'm just a regular person, just like you are, just taking you know what I mean, a step to educate the general public because the government, both in things is
Should be doing
moving
it.
towards should be doing it, but they're not doing it, and they're moving toward an industry. And yet, a lot of games been playing from since under the former government, Team Unity, where the former prime minister will say one thing and come back and say this, and all, and the attorney general come out with all kind of crazies back and forth. So when the people agitate, then they go back and change things. So what been happening in Nevis recently is that the police have been going around in people yard, just walking in people yard. Some police and the drug squad, so I have to call them out, because this and then telling people only one tree and the tree is too big and it's supposed to be a certain size. So the police they have their own rules, eh? So the federal government rules have nothing to do with the police rules because they're telling
But that is what so hold on.
yes.
So that is what I am saying here, and that is what I'm saying. The government, from my understanding of government, government has three arms. There's the
But yes, son,
executive.
let me say this. Let me say this.
Mhm.
But rule number one, brethren, if someone is breaking the law, you're supposed to make sure you have a search warrant before you go on people's property. You cannot just come in my gate, see a tree there, pass all the palm trees, all the other kind of trees you see, and all of it is medicinal, and choose to take up the one you feel like without entering my premises. Rule number one, you're wrong. So they step in, they break in the law themselves. All kind of people from over in Castle, in Ramsbury, all around Nevis. You understand? Even as I ride, they do these things too. So it shows you the disrespectfulness and rule number one, remember, the Constitution already give every citizen the right to use cannabis. Not just, every citizen. And let me not say citizen, let me put it over in this way. Every native. Okay? I then put it in there. Them ensuring it in, not me. Rule number one, the Constitution is above all the laws of the land. So the Drug Act is wrong. Can you see, from since we go up around Herb, I always say anybody who fight against Herb, fighting against the Creator, So if they believe in that there is a Creator, when they look in the mirror, and you're fighting against everything that is placed on wherever you could see and touch, you cannot love the Creator. Because when you see yourself, you see the Creator himself. So that is always been my take. So right there, I know I'm always in the right. You can hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Huh?
Yeah, I hear you now.
You couldn't hear me?
For a quick 30 seconds there or so. Maybe it was on my end. So maybe it wasn't.
Okay. Well, let the listening viewers and those who are watching, if they can hear me properly, they can just make a comment if they have any issue with my voice and stuff like that. I mean, I would appreciate that. But I'm saying, yes, son, if the Constitution is the law of the land, how can you have a drug act and then using that against people when you're wrong? Me know about the international law. I'm not care about that. Because those international law make no sense. Your Constitution is where you have to go abide by. So right there, for years, that's what I'm talking about reparation. We all who go through all this energy should be paid for. The government went as far to expunge some citizens' police record. So right there, they're admitting wrong. So people have a right to take a civil lawsuit towards the government. So I encourage people, when police come to our place, make sure they have a warrant, and police are going to people's place without even a warrant. With the wrong people name and warrant sitting on the going to your yard and you get your charges. So you see what I'm talking about? They're coming to my yard. The warrant got on your son, but yet them search up my place and take up what I want and charge me for all these things. I'm calling out the high command in Nevis with these things that they're doing. You understand? Inspector Carty and all those who leading this squad and all this thing. Carty is responsible for Nevis. You understand? This is then it's then no better if officers gonna go out and tell the citizens only could have one tree in the yard. Where they get the rule they from? And I would like Mr. Carty and the head and whoever else is in charge of the drug squad to go on these radio station or platform, whatever they choose to, and explain to the citizens where they get the rule where a citizen can only have one herb tree in the yard and also at certain height, and if it's too big, eye too small, where they get the rule they from. Because they're telling the people these things and go walking in the yard and breaking the rules, you see? Because if you're supposed to uphold the rules, you can be breaking it, virgin. How you just walk into people's yard and take up things without a warrant and go and have one wrong name and paper and just charge people for these things. I encourage all who being harassed, because this is harassment, you know. And that's why I tell the young lady that was Miss Knight, this thing about medical marijuana is really recreational marijuana being taxed to the taxpayers. We don't want to police this thing, and then yet up to now, the Minister of Ecclesiastic, Mr. Jeffrey Hanley, not even had a meeting with his workers and those at his office. So nothing is put in place. You see what I mean? No farms is in place, not ban discussion. Yet the police harassing the citizens in Nevis. This is wrong. And I'm telling the public, people are upset about this thing, and eventually you're going to create a protest against the system. So I'm calling up Mr. Eric Evelyn as the Minister of Agriculture, which is responsible for cannabis also. Your citizens have been harassed by the police, stating they only can have one tree, and also calling out the Minister, the Premier himself, Mr. Mark Brantley. It alleged, this is not an alleged, no, so let me say alleged, away be, because people have been charged, people trees have been taken up, the police telling people only could have one tree, it can't be too big, it can't be too small, so wanting to come out and tell the general public, how come they got their own rules, apart from the Cannabis Authority, and also apart from the part with freedom of conscience, which is under the Ecclesia unit by Jeffrey Hanley, and also in Nevis by the Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Eric Evelyn, who yet not had to speak on cannabis. All he said when I asked him a question, the federal government is taking the lead, so we will just follow. I mean, what is that? Well, you should be having town hall meeting and discussion, educating the public. If you follow in, will you do what the federal government do? You engage your citizens up here the same, or you have discussion. You educate. You just not stay quiet. You ain't doing nothing by staying quiet. Well, what is that? That is a cow out. And when I come and I tell you, when the gentleman came in last year at the agricultural open day and just step 1 foot outside the tent and a peep in and say hi like a kite, and the citizens inside they have to argue with him and tell him to come inside the tent, they take 2 steps and then they run out and gone. So you see, these guys are not for cannabis, their personal interests are getting involved. So how can people like these lead in the country? This thing don't make no sense. You're taking your personal interest than what the people want. Is what the people want. So you was a part of the federal government, so that's when you're good with this cannabis thing, because they're still in a part of the federal government. So they all agree with this thing. So why the Nevis ain't nobody talking? Yes, son.
So why are the people allowing this to continue? And this is where my problem is, Banky. My problem is more so on the silence of the public. And this is why I started by saying this should not be a partisan political issue. And this is one.
I've been harassed.
This is one of the
by the drug squad.
This is one of the reasons.
They're harassing the people.
The reason why I was seeking to explain the different arms of government. And there is the executive, which is the ministers of government. You have the judiciary, with the magistrates and the judges and all of those who work facility. And then there are the law in that section. Claim that these 3 arms are supposed to be independent of each other. So, in reality, the legal force or those who are supposed to uphold the law, that is put in place by the executive, because the executive is the one who puts the law in place. And this is why we have been asking them who put the law in place, which part of the problem here stems from the disrespect that we're talking about, because the disrespect came in when they first went and put some of these things into legislation without consulting with us, the people. And then now when we began to push back is when, as you mentioned, they're seeking now to
Yes,
amend and or
of course.
have town hall meetings and so on. So it's like putting the cart before the horse. The reality is, we as people, we as the masses, as the electorate, as the true bosses, because in these people, need to begin to hold our elected officials accountable and make sure that they come and consult with us before they do things that they claim are on behalf of us. And what is being done is total disrespect, especially in Nevis.
So,
The Nevisians,
listen to
the Nevisians have sat back and allowed the Minister of Agriculture to have said absolutely nothing on cannabis since well, you could say since 2019, because then he was in federal government and he was also in the Nevis Island government back then when it happened. So even though he was a part of the Team Unity government, he is still in the same position,
yeah,
and
son, who
still
is in
up to
charge?
2024 have
So
not said
who is the
anything.
minister? So who is the minister of tourism in Nevis? Because the minister of tourism of tourism in Sinki talking about cannabis. All right. So who is the minister? So who is the minister of tourism in Nevis? The premier. So if you call out the premier too. So this is a cohesion with the whole cabinet. This is a willful act. This ain't by accident, because Sinkit promoting music festival coming up, and I guarantee you there will be a spot with people in there for the cannabis section the same. A culture coming up, ain't nothing going on in Nevis. Nevis they're shutting down their people. Is their issue with the Christian community and all this, whatever, can know them like get involved sometime, So they need to address and remember also what was said from the federal government, the minister down there. Well, I mean, as I said publicly, but from what I'm just saying, Nevis has its own autonomy over agriculture. So is they not have no interest in the 2025, or they have no interest in the cannabis? That's why they're not speaking about it, where they could give some lame thing that the federal government. So at the same with geothermal too, they give geothermal. So wherever the federal government will lead and wherever me get me take, I may just jump on board. These things don't make no sense, Virgin. Not in these times. You know what I'm saying? At my
So
age, we got less years
why
ahead of me. So this gonna make no
so
sense with this.
so
Yeah.
why are the people on Nevis who's been affected are not holding their leaders and those who are in that position accountable? Because it is
Well,
the
them
responsibility.
a call me.
Watch here, Banky.
You see, them a call me.
Hold
Them a
on,
call me
hold on.
and a vent to me. You see?
It's a part of the portfolio now, This is now a part of your job, Whether you want to accept it or not. As the Minister of Agriculture, cannabis is on your portfolio. We, the taxpayers, are paying you to address that. Whether you want to deal with it, whether you feel like the people who vote for you or would vote for you are whatever opinions you feel like they may have, right now, it is your responsibility. So if you need to find a way to talk to your constituents to let them know, well, hey, I got to deal with this. If that is what part of your fear is, that your people ain't gonna
Yes,
vote
sir.
for you because but the reality is it is in your portfolio. We, the taxpayers, are paying you to do it. So the taxpayers then are not doing their job. The taxpayers are the bosses, And this is what I need to get the people to understand. And until they
So
understand that, they will allow the politicians to play the divide and rule. And so
this
this
is the
sort
million
of like
dollar
this gap
question.
thing. Yes.
This is the million dollar question. You see? And not even a dollar question, because this is simple common sense. Not even a dollar question, but the dollar worth $1 million. Because why haven't the Minister of Ecclesiastic even had one meeting, a discussion with his staff about the way forward with this? Because since his office would be depart when it comes to the licensing or whatever, and getting to grow the trees, whatever it is. And then the minister ain't utter a word about cannabis. Well, why is that? So why those
And
two? Well,
I am
this
going
is
to
a
answer,
coincidental. This ain't a
and
coincidence.
I am going to answer, and I am going to answer the same way I answered for the Minister and Nevis, because the people and St. Kitts as well, and this is one of the way I said the Rastafari community kind of get themselves tied up in this thing, because the aspect that really addresses the needs of the
Yes,
Rastafari community and the average individual
it's
is
an
in
ecclesiastic office.
under the ecclesiastic affairs, because the personal
Yes.
use and the spiritual and recreational use is our ministry, and they are not agitating with that minister for that minister to step forward to come and talk to the people, because that is the same area that deals with the same 5 trees that we're talking about, because these things are on the books. So I don't understand
Okay.
how
So here, yeah.
on the books you could hear 5 trees, and
Yes.
then you're telling me police in Nevis telling people. So this
Yes.
is what I'm talking
One
about in
tree.
terms of the authority should have, if they
Yes.
have not done it, just like how we are asking for them to come to us to educate us on what we can and cannot do as citizens, because even though certain things are on the books already, sometimes we need somebody to help. All of us ain't legally minded, and all of us ain't that capable to read it and interpret it that way. So that is your responsibility, because we hire you. Come to the public and share that. But seemingly also, the police and the law agencies are not properly informed as well. So they too seem to need to have a course, a session, or some sessions with them as well to understand what they can and cannot do. Otherwise,
No,
as you are
they need a
suggesting,
course. They need a
well, what
course
is
just
going
to
to
leave the
happen?
herb alone. They just need to leave the herb
Well,
alone because because the government is about to make big money off of herb. They will harass people for herb, and the government go into the herb business. You see, the government is
well,
going to make. This is how it is set up. You see how it is set up. Because if you're going to be set up an industry, virgin, rule number one, you must put money in place where your people can have access to money, to the development. So you want them to invest if they want to compete. But if you have no intention of bringing in no outsiders, these are simple. Me work with simple common sense. Me now work with no wherever. Me work with simple common. Me keep it simple so the kindergarten people can understand. Me keep it down to the street level. Me not attempt with no easy man schism. Because as I tell Mrs. Knight, this is about policing, and then you hear RSI come and say international. Can you hear me saying it all the time? International forces want them to keep data. What hell data you want to keep on people? To got 5 trees and 6 trees or 20 trees or 100 trees in a yard for? Nobody keep data on them out there, so. So why you want to keep data, give international people data on people for? Which age group and which this and which that? That is nonsense, virgin. Them things they're not supposed to be working, and without way supposed to accepting this. So the people are gonna have to address these things here. Otherwise, we'll have to agitate and start going the street.
no, Banky,
They're gonna have
hold
to,
on, Banky,
yeah, they're gonna have
hold
to address
on,
these things.
hold
Yes,
on. And this is why I said, this is why I'm saying that the argument is being backed up the wrong tree, because a lot of these things that you're talking about is only regulated, are going to be regulated, so to speak, under the
yes,
medical cannabis aspect of cannabis. Now, what has happened is the government, who should be really informing the people and who should be playing their role, especially on the ecclesiastic side, are not dealing with that. Because remember, when we asked about recreational, they said that at this point it is not legal. I'm not addressed that. They have not
it is
addressed
legal.
the
It's
spiritual
taxing it.
side.
That's what they're doing.
So
It is legal by tax.
our
That's what they're doing,
focus
and
on
policing it.
they are
That's what they're
focused on the
doing.
medical side, and they have dragged the
Yes, son.
people into that
Not in the
argument
medical.
on that
It's
side.
recreational tax being taxed. They're lying to the people. They're canning the people again. They're terming with medical.
However you want to term it,
I still
however
may work with
you
it.
are seeking to term it. Well,
I,
that's how you
that's
want to
how it
term it. But
is.
the reality is,
Yes.
no, the reality is, under that framework, they are following a sort of international model that fall under the medical scheme of things. What I am pointing out is that it's just one aspect of the cannabis, and they have dragged everybody into that. They have opted to deal with that part. The CARICOM recommendations did not only speak to medical cannabis, the CARICOM recommendation spoke to spiritual and also for personal use. They have opted to
Yes.
put spiritual and personal use under different ministry. That ministry, nobody's challenging that ministry, nobody's calling out that minister, and that minister is the minister who should be dealing with that. And he has never spoken that. So what I'm saying is the energy that we are pushing
Yes.
on the medical side should be realigned to the Ministry of Ecclesiastic Affairs and St. Kitts. And then that still poses another problem for Nevis, because the ecclesiastic ministry is only a federal ministry. There's no arm on
In the
Nevis
branch, yes.
that deals
Yes.
with that aspect. So we still on Nevis, still unsure how we are going to deal with that aspect. If they're going to eventually have an officer, an official on Nevis that deals with that, are they going to create a branch on Nevis that deals with that? But not even we are hearing from the minister on Nevis, the minister that deals with the medical side. So we're not even hearing on the medical side, much less to understand how the Nevis, and what is bothering me is that the Nevisians are sitting back and you're telling me now that the Nevisians are coming to you. Where they got a
Yeah.
minister?
Well, I'm the minister. Well, I'm the minister. You know?
Challenge the minister.
Well,
Well,
for me,
okay,
the minister.
let them elect you. Well, when they come to you,
But that is-
tell them elect you then. Tell them elect you.
Well, I'm the minister. You know?
Tell
That is
them
the whole
elect you.
point. It's busy minister
Right
because
now,
I never come to
tell them elect you
everything.
so that
You
you can
see,
get
that's the
paid.
whole
Because
point.
the minister is getting paid and he ain't doing it. And they're getting to
You
you.
fail
So
in
they
this
need to pay
side.
you. They need to elect you so you could get paid.
This
So
is
that is where
crazy.
we
The
are,
man.
Banky. No, it's crazy, but the crazy part for me is how the people do not understand
Yes.
their responsibility and are allowing the politicians to play the divide and rule game and have them caught up with the divide and rule to the point where even things that are affecting them or could affect them and their family and so on, they're not
But yes,
coming and
on
addressing it because
one
of
of the
whatever
problem is
fear.
the police. Them now we live in a society where the general public fear of police, the masses, and everybody like that, because they got to understand having a uniform don't make you superior than all of your citizens on the island. It's a uniform. You are a servant, just like like everybody else. That's what they need to
But you see,
understand. Do not
Banky,
use your authority to advantage your citizens, because that is what the drug squad is doing, you know. And a call on the high command in the Navy's force to stop lying to its citizens, harassing its citizens 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the morning, going to the house with fake warrant that don't have on their names, all in Ramsbury, and charging people and all this stuff. Also going over and casting around the whole island and walking in the yard and just taking up the trees and lying to them over and over, saying they only can have 1 trees. So I'm calling out Inspector Carty and to bring all the documents that stated that he have and the whole police force and the commissioner of acting commissioner in Nevis, whoever the gentleman is, I
well,
don't know,
what
to bring all the information where they have. Because remember, they're going with a 1 rule tree and all this different stuff, and
this
the
is
height of the
where
trees and all this different stuff. So I'm calling on the drug squad and the commissioner and the deputy commissioner of police, whoever is in Nevis, to bring out the portfolio with all the rules where they have about how much tree you can have in the year with the 1 tree and the size of the tree. Because they're locking up the people and telling them, you know, you can have 1 tree and you have to be certain size. So bring out the book.
Hold on, Banky.
Yeah,
Hold on, Banky.
please.
This is where a lot of the young lawyers, you know, I have a lot of students who have gone and been lawyers and so on. This is where now they can take on some pro bono cases and challenge the government. Understand? And let the citizens, because this will be one of the ways that the citizens can and will fight back the system when the system realizes that they have to pay them now for this kind of foolishness. Because you can't tell me that these things are being discussed even in the House of Parliament. And you want to tell me the police system is so ignorant? Then they're willful.
Exactly.
So then if they are willful, then you willfully take them to court as well, and then make the government have to pay for their foolishness. And then the government would then have to do what we're asking them to do right now, which is inform their police and law agencies on the new changes or whatever changes and how they're supposed to be dealing with citizens. Maybe they know it, as we are saying, and maybe they're really being willful. But let us know as citizens, put aside the parties and politics and say, hey, this is our rights you're dealing with. This ain't got nothing to do with no party and whatever. And offending our rights, and let's do what we need to do until we get kind of point, you know, a lot of this is going to continue. And the people need to agitate and have their minister stop laugh around with these things. Not because you might be thinking, I see one of the things too, you know, because the masses still kind of ignorant where cannabis is concerned, and all they think about is from the smoking aspect. So they don't look at the other areas where it can be beneficial from a business standpoint for many others who might not even smoke it. I don't even have any thoughts of smoking it. But then there's so many other areas and aspects that one can get into that industry. So it is very, very important that we seek to get the Honorable Jeffrey Hanley to come and speak to the public, and really, because this is the other thing. Instead of the
if you don't speak to your
police,
office yet, you come to the public.
hold on.
If you speak to your office yet.
Again, this is where we are. The public needs to then push for the moratorium. They need to push for the moratorium where we get the police to say, hey, look, let's stop harass people for cannabis until the government put their regulations in place. Because you can't tell me that we have these rights. And then, okay, let me not get into the part there yet. We have these rights, and it is our rights. But because you ain't put your laws in place or your licensing regulations or whatever in place, you still want to harass me when it is my right? No, you need to be, that is where, you know, that kind of stuff, that's where the moratorium comes in. Hey, okay, if after we done you have your license, or you have the option of getting your license, and you choose not to get your license, then we could say, well, all right, you know, even though you shouldn't be, we might not necessarily totally agree with that, but at least we know that, hey, I can go and get a license. At this point, we can't.
Listen for what? Listen for what? Nobody need to left for the 6 trees and the 5 trees. Them the nonsense. We're not with that. We're not with that. So if you call it out, we're not with it. Yeah, so we call it out. We're not with it. We denounce that.
Hold on. May not agree with it. But here's what I am saying.
Remember, you know, your son, remember, you know, the horse, for all the fight man don't get the horse reparation. So you can't owe me, I'm going to get paid and compensate it and still harass me, so you put on harassment.
That's true. That's true.
So we have our guests. We have our guests in.
Yes, I was just going based on what is being pushed by the Medical Cannabis Authority. So I was going based on the argument still. Anyway, we do have our guests, and we are going to shift gears a little bit and get into, you know, it's kind of interesting, Banky, as we talk about, as I was just talking about, you know, some of my students and so on, right? And the fact that, you know, they would have been exposed to, you know, the understanding of governments and their responsibilities and so on. Here is it. I have, you know, one of my past students, you know, who is into community
when you past student?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Primary and secondary. And so, you know, like it's as we continue to celebrate Charleston Secondary School, you know what I mean? You know, it gives me that you know, privilege to be able to have gotten an education through the education system of Charleston Secondary School, and then was able to go back and work with some of the teachers who taught me, them as colleagues, helped me to become, you know, a better teacher in the profession and be able to meet and have impact on the lives of people like Denicia and many others who eventually can, you know, talk about, you know, that. But it's so it's, these are the kind of rewards you get, Banky, after working, you know. I think she taught for a while, so she might know also that teaching don't really have any money, so to speak, in terms of the salary and so on. But it is these kind of rewards when you could look back and see that you would have touched the lives of people who are out there now representing in these farms. So with that little tidbit and memory down memory lane, just want to say good evening, Denicia, and welcome to this edition of Everything Agriculture. And I'll let Banky introduce you and let us get rolling.
Denise, good evening to you. How you doing? And welcome. I mean, you've all been a part and always willing to come and share the information to the general public from your office and ministry part of it. I mean, how you been?
I've been good. Good evening, and thank you for having me, both of you, Banky and Yasan
Yes.
Tafari. I'm happy to be here, and I was a teacher as well, so I share some of your sentiments, so I can relate
Yes.
to what I've heard, the small snippet of what I've heard. So thank you for having me, and I'm excited to share what I have to say.
Beautiful. Yes, so then let me add it on it. She's soon to be director, what they call it, having her acting and just give the girl the position director and take out the acting part. Don't let the acting part. You deserve, and I've been telling you over the years, you've been always in the community, all the one coming into the media talking. So it's meant for you and you deserve it. So they need to take out the acting part and just give it to you. And I hope you get a double up your salary. You know what I mean? Because you really do work over the years and you deserve it. And you're looking good behind the camera too. So just got to put that
Oh,
in. All right. So what do you have for the general public this evening?
So, this month is Community Development Month, and we usually celebrate it in May. So, we had a number of activities this month, and I just wanted to share that with the general public. Our theme for this year was Together We Grow, Together We Thrive, Our Community, Our Pride. And we had a slogan competition basically, and the winner was Kejel Smithen. He's not
Okay.
related to me,
Nice.
so I put that in.
Okay.
So some of the we had. We currently, well, today is the last day. We had a food drive which started on April 15th, and I just wanted to highlight and thank some of the persons who contributed. Those who didn't want their names mentioned, but I wanted to thank Ram Supermarket, the Seventh Day Adventist Community Services, Best Buy Supermarket, Nevis Food Center, and the supply office for contributing to our food drive, and those persons in the community as well, and Dongfang Supermarket. We also have had our church service on May 3rd, and then the Just Up Seafood Fiesta, which is a staple event, and that has grown from strength to strength. And this year was the biggest it has been. It was actually sponsored by the SGP, Jeff Small Grants Program, and
Okay.
under that, it's
Nice.
the Caribbean Plus project, which dealt with blue economies and making fishing industry sustainable and so on. We also had our jumbo sale yesterday and today, so the 22nd and the 23rd. And we currently have the floral arrangement workshop because we wanted to add some skills empowerment aspect to it. We also was slated to have an auto body repair workshop, but due to the participants who we were expecting to have, such as the school leavers, we realized that this time would not be ideal for them because it's exam time. So we have postponed it until a later date. We also, and of course, I just wanted to talk about mainly our Nevis Multicultural Heritage Festival. This is the second annual Heritage Festival, and I'm very excited for this year. And I would like to use this as an opportunity to encourage each and every one of you listening to come on out on Saturday, May 31st at the Malcolm Gisha Recreational Park starting at 12. We basically have various country vendors and booths and artisans and agro processors who will be at the event selling their products and showcasing their culture, whether it's food and folklore and heritage. And so we're excited. So some of the countries that you can expect to see, St. Kitts and Nevis, of course, yours truly, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, Dominica, Dominican Republic, St. Lucia, China, Philippines, Guyana, and some African countries such as Cameroon, Sierra Leone, Zimbabwe, and so on. And we are expecting a vibrant showcase of culture, whether especially by via food, because the food is going to be really, really good. We also have cooking demonstrations, so we'll have two cooking demonstrations that we're excited to have. We are excited to see what the chefs will produce. Michael Henfield is one of the persons who will be our chefs who would be showcasing the method of. I think he's going. I'm not sure. I don't want to say, so I'm going to wait. But whatever he's going to showcase is going to be very, very good. And Chef Michael Seaton, we're going to have a mixology contest. a domino competition, and we have various prizes. We'll have lots of prizes. Also, when you come, when you pay by the gate, you'll enter a raffle and you'll get a chance to win some prizes, compliments Clifton Estate Rum. And yes, Clifton Estate Rum is also one of our sponsors, so I just wanted to shout out them as well, and also TDC Group of Companies. So overall, the event slated from 31st, and that's the last day. So, we want to go out with a bang. We're expecting a wonderful day of activities. We also have the kids zone where we'll have various activities. So we'll have face painting, and we also have the activities for the children. The game room is also a part of our festivities. And so we're encouraging the general public on who are listening to come out on Saturday, May 31st. It will be a really good day. And we have there's gonna be something for everybody to do and everybody to take part in. Oh,
So what time
and
is the event?
12,
I remember to tell
12.
it 12. Okay.
We also have some cultural performances. So some of the countries will be performing their local heritage, whether it's dance and song, poem, and we also have our local acts. So we'll have Mokojambi, masquerade, we'll have cakewalk, and drumming. And so we're excited, and we'll also have some games, and you get a chance to win a prize. So come on out and try to win something.
Yes, and any
Okay,
question
and
for the young lady?
well, I was just gonna let her know that we are not rushing her, so she doesn't have to rush in all the information. I mean, we want to give you the time to
She's just a natural man.
definitely.
Remember,
I
she's a
know, but
beauty queen, Remember, she's a beauty queen. She's
I,
just not, you understand? So just being natural. That's a natural talent right there.
I wanted to be able to have the time to expound on whatever it is that needs to be expounded. I must say, this is the second one she mentioned.
Yes.
It is
I
quite
attended the first one.
interesting. It's quite interesting, the flyer and the promotion of it and so on. I mean, actually, it was brought to my attention actually by someone in Africa who saw it, and loved the concept of what is behind the activity and so on. And when they mentioned it to me, and even as I listen to you right now, Denicia, I'm thinking, this month is also considered, well, we do celebrate African Liberation Day within the month as well. So if maybe in the future, you can tie a little bit of that. I know it's international, but also that could be something that could be intertwined. So as you say, you do have some African people are going to be there with the African dishes and so on, but a little, maybe something that maybe tie in how some of the even Caribbean people who would be a part of it, how some of those dishes that we consider maybe even traditional, how some of the origins, tie into Africa and what they do and compare and so on, discussion and so on, so that what is happening today, because we also have to realize that Africa is becoming that, world frontier, that developing country that we also should be looking to, trade and develop more relationships and so on. So it's something to look into. But I love the activity. I'm really hoping that people can come out and truly support it. It gives you the opportunity to experience that, different dishes, different culture, taste different things, meet different people, learn different things. The social studies. It reminds me of that, because I taught social studies as well, and so it is that kind of coming together of all of the different culture, and so nobody feel left out. I like that, so all of the different people who might be on island that people might not even know are a part of it, might be able to get a chance to showcase whatever it is that they demonstrate. So that's wonderful. I also want to congratulate you as a community active person. What I like about you is not you you do well, yes, in terms of the PRO work and so on, but you're not just that. You actually you're on the ground, you're with the people, you're seeking to really create the activities. Like for example, I know you're very much instrumental with the Bands Got Bedfood Festival and so on, right? And that I think also is very much a good initiative, and I wanna encourage you and empower you and those who support you to see if we could get that to be as big as the Mango Fest, or maybe even bigger.
Mm.
That same activity that you mentioned there in terms of the Jessup's seafood fiesta as well, things like that. We really need to revive a lot more of these community events. We had Winfest one time. Things like that to revive things there, Ginger Rama at another as well too. How these things can um, stimulate, because it helps in terms of social activity and also stimulating the economy, because when you have things in the community, whoever doing a little selling and so on, and the farmer and we'll get a little sale and so on. So we want to seek to do a little bit more. So these are things I'm just, since I have you here with me, I'm sharing with you, so that even maybe you might be thinking of these things that you're working on them, but I just want to encourage you to continue doing what you're doing. I think you're doing a wonderful job. I don't know about what Banky talk about in terms of the position and so on, acting, because I don't know exactly what your position is, but whatever it is,
She's the
so
acting
far,
director. Yes, son. The young lady is the acting director right now.
okay, well, she needs to be placed at the director position. So those who are listening, please, do what is necessary to make sure that the young lady is, given what is due. I love to see my young people, progressing. I mean, she talked about Kejel. Kejel also was one of my students. Very, very talented youngster. Very intelligent youngster. I knew him in primary school, very good with mathematics. He was a little genius. And so, sometimes we don't demand. This is me. When young people are doing good, we have to big them up, as we would say locally, because at the same time, when they get involved in negativity, we are still sometimes the first to want to jump down their throat and say, oh, where. But we also, when they're doing good, have to, as much as possible, try to inspire and motivate them. And so, keep up the good works. Um, tell us a little bit more about this activity. You said that it's going to start at 12. Um,
Mm.
what's the fee? Is there like a fee for registration if you want to be a part of it, or is it too late to actually sign up if you want to be a vendor, getting as a chef or to demonstrate something? Is it too late for that now?
Well, basically, we are 1 week away, so we have already locked in logistics. So
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, but we have had persons who reached out to us after the closure of registration, and we are telling
Mm-hmm.
them, next year you can put down your name, and next year we'll have you in mind, because registration will definitely start early registration, because a lot of persons have shown interest. Last year we had, I think, seven or eight booths. Well, seven, I think it was seven booths or so on. And this year we have 14. And so the Heritage Festival has doubled in terms of scale, and the
Yes.
support from community groups and associations. We have also factored in that sometimes, as a young event, you don't necessarily get that reach as Culturama or other Mango Festival. So we are using this as a platform for us to grow in size. So I suspect that next year it will be even bigger, and so on. We also have you touched on African liberation, and you made a suggestion, because I'm open to suggestions. And as time goes on, we add, and we make it more educational as well, and that's something that we definitely can factor in. We also have other vendors who we didn't include, such as the One Love Rastafari movement, who will be there. So for those who love ital, you will have the chance
Yeah.
to eat your ital. It's not always gonna. It's not gonna only be the well, ital is traditional to me, but you have the chance to eat. I don't want to say more healthy. So there
Right.
are many options. As we go on, well, especially for Breadfruit Festival, I definitely want it to be more community oriented and to feel that unified front, because I believe that's very important, and that was one of the goals for this event, to as community development practitioners, we realize that the community has evolved, and due to migration and movement of people, we have so many different cultures and nationalities residing in Nevis, and we wanted to provide a platform and a way for us to celebrate each and everybody in the community. And so that was our goal for the Nevis Multicultural Heritage Festival. And we also have the Breadfruit Festival, the Bandsgot Breadfruit Festival, which is coming up on June 21st. And we also have the Bread Nut Affair, which is in Pond
Huh?
Hill, and that will a Bread Nut Affair. And that is going to be
What?
on the Bread Nut Affair.
But did you say where the
That's
the
interesting.
the, the
That's
Heritage
interesting.
Festival gonna be at? I know you said 12 o'clock, but
Yes,
did you say where the location?
yes.
Malcolm
So I'm
Gishard.
gonna,
Malcolm Gishard.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Yes, nice.
The Nevis Multicultural Heritage Festival, I'm gonna put a plug in there again. It's going to be at the Malcolm Gishar Recreational Park on Saturday, May 31st. So that's next Saturday, and it's going to start at 12 o'clock p.m. And
And
so we
I wanted to so say I know the big up the DJ and know hosted by who? Who the host gonna be?
so the host will be DJ Woodis. I think we all know him,
All
and
right.
DJ Woodis
Yes.
is a very
So what?
engaging and yeah.
Yes, what I want is that with this kind of event, it's important that the hosts go around to each of the booths and to get a little interview and stuff like that. This at this event is very important, and what is good at that. And some I just want to let what is know. Make sure you go to the booth and over and over and over. It's important that these things happen, and people get a chance to tell what they have, what by this boat, the Dominica boat, this is what they're serving and all the different stuff. At least and those who sitting down cannot hear these kind of things and stuff. But do this event gonna be anything live stream anytime to those who overseas
So
are in the diaspora can?
yes, so it's good. One, what you mentioned a while ago, DJ Woodis will be going around to the various booths, because we want to give the representatives the opportunity to let each and everyone know what
Nice,
they're showcasing and what they have
beautiful,
to offer. So that's definitely something that we're planning on doing. And I know DJ
great.
Wood is very, relatable, and he will get the job
Of
done.
course, of course,
And it will be
definitely.
live
Big up what is.
for the cultural performances and so on. So it will definitely be live. On I want to believe Nevis Television, the Department of
Okay,
Information.
NTV.
You
Okay,
can follow our department's page, the Department of Community Development, Nevis. And once it's live, we'll also share it. So for those persons who are interested, who cannot make it, unfortunately, you can watch some of the event live. We also have
beautiful.
entertainment, and our main DJ is DJ Zimba, legendary. Everybody knows DJ Zimba and DJ Smudge.
Okay, nice.
Okay.
Great,
Good
great
mixture.
entertainment lineup, man. Smudge.
Veteran young people.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
nice.
Yes.
No, man, good vibes. Yeah, there'll be some smudge, good entertainment, yeah, man. That's nice. Beautiful. I must commend you on the good work you've been doing within community development. That's what it
Yes.
is.
Department
Yes, yes.
Development.
Just gonna commend you on the good work you've been doing over the years, and it's about time. I've been seeing you in this position from a very long time, and the manifestation just aligned. So I'm very happy for you. And this is when young people go out there and put out the work, put out the work, put out the work. You'll get fight here and there within the same group that you're working within at the same time, but you just be consistent and professional and do your work. And these are the kind of things which eventually happen. Sometimes even if they don't want to, they just don't have no choice because it's just meant for you. Because that's just how the universe align things. So I'm happy for you, and keep on putting up the great works. And if anyone who just tuning in, you can also. And how can they contact the office? If they once they need anything, because you know you always in the community all the time. If you have an office number and stuff like that, and the information where one need anything done within the community, I mean, they can reach out to you guys. 'Cause I think your department has been doing a beautiful job.
Thank you. So you can reach out to us at 469-5521, extension 6461, 6462, or 6463. And you can also call the straight line at 469-1768. And you will be able to reach one of us. So if you have any questions in regards to the upcoming Nevis Multicultural Heritage Festival, feel free to do so. I've received numerous calls relating to that already, and some open to more. And I'm excited.
Beautiful.
I'm encouraging the general public, all of you who are listening, to come out next week, Saturday, at the Malcolm Bouchard Park, 12 p.m. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a really fantastic day.
Yeah.
And I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the other countries produce, especially Philippines, because I've never had any food. Well, I've never had that type of food, so I'm excited to see that. The African countries, so they have like jollof rice and so on. So it's going to be a really, really good day. And I think Guyana has black and white pudding. You know, usually hear about the black pudding, but you don't really know about the white. So for those people who don't want the blood, you can try the white pudding.
But before you go, Denise, I mean, I know this is a big event.
Okay.
I mean, it must take a lot of sponsorships and different partnering and stuff like that. Is anyone you want to call out? I mean, those who don't want to and stuff like that.
Yes, so I want to thank Amri Bakeries, Chills Beach Bar and Grill. I want to thank TDC Group of Companies, Laws and Sons, and that's the bookstore affectionately known
Yes.
as Laws Bookstore right over in St. Kitts, Wally Beach, Mileage Mall, and Dongfang Supermarket, Caribbean Lottery, and Floor. Wally, I just want to thank all of our sponsors for coming on board and contributing to this year's Nevis Multicultural Heritage Festival. This has shown that you value community-oriented activities, and I just want to say thank you on behalf of the department.
Yes,
Okay,
son.
well,
Anything?
Banky, I don't quite think I'm ready to get rid of Denise. So if Denise does not have any any
Well, if you want to
engagement,
step out of the, you know, we got things to talk about in the
no,
bottom
I still have
regular programming.
No, I know. No, still on the same topic, still on the same same line. I am very much interested in the bread nut affair. You know, and see, Banky, we're talking about agriculture, and this program is everything agriculture. And
Yes.
seemingly a lot of what Denisha is also involved in can tie into agriculture, because if you're gonna have a bread nut affair, in order for you to have a bread nut affair, you have to have bread nuts. And bread nut is something that is kind of dying out in our culture. It's not as popular as it used to be. So now, if we increase activities like this, it would create the demand for us to
Yes,
get
son.
back into planting more bread
What?
nuts. Right?
Yeah, but what they can do to the
So
bread nut and the jackfruit, you can't tell the difference between the nuts. If you have both bread nut and jackfruit, they wouldn't tell the difference with the jackfruit
well,
not the
that's
same way.
true. But the same thing applies for the jackfruit as well, because then eventually we could have an activity surrounding jackfruit as well. But at this point, I'm sure Denisha is not
Yes.
even familiar with the jackfruit like that. But eventually, that is something you're familiar with it. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So, but
It's
that is something. But it's not.
bigger.
It's not even the big one. Yes, that's the big one, and you can eat the inside. The inside is edible, just like that when it's ripe, and you could use the seeds as the bread nut. So you can also cook the seeds like the bread nut. So that's what Banky is saying in
But yeah,
terms of
son,
the taste.
with the
You
with the
could
bread with
hardly
the
determine the difference between both when
yes.
cooked.
But with the jackfruit itself, when I was in Indonesia, what they did, they slice it up like them kingfisher sliced fish, and they batter it and fry it, and then they stew it down just like you stewing down fish or chicken, anything, and you can't. It tastes just like fish.
Tell you difference.
And then
It's used as
yeah,
alternative meat. Yes, it's
yes, then they
very
stew it. Then
expensive
they,
in
yeah,
restaurants out here. So it's
yes,
like
then
for people who don't eat meat, it's used as an
yes,
alternative meat as well. So, but these are
yeah,
things
man.
that, as I'm seeing, can tie into that. So, tell us a little bit more about the bread nut affair. Somebody's asking when is the festival? Oh, okay. So you missed the date.
The
Which
31st,
festival you're
the
looking for,
31st.
Aaron?
Yes,
31st.
the name
If you're
is
looking for the
Multicultural Festival.
multicultural festival.
Yes,
Yes, that's on the 31st.
The
If it's that one you're
31st,
looking
that's
for.
next Saturday.
a
Next
Saturday.
Saturday, the 31st. It starts at 12 o'clock at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. Tell me a little bit more about this bread nut affair. I am very much interested in that event.
Yes.
I knew about the bread nut, the bread. Sorry, I know about the breadfruit. The bread nut is going to be a new
Yes.
one. This is going to be the first time you're having this one.
It has been done before, I think, a few times, maybe once. But as we know, like the bread nut is, I don't know how to explain because sometimes you see them plentiful and then, like just
Yes.
like that,
Of
you don't
course.
get more. So it's a little tricky.
Yes.
Mm.
But we are trying to have that event on Friday, June 26th at the Pan Hill Community Center. So that's something that we are excited about. Again, it will. So basically, we always think that bread nut is something that you only boil and you eat, like that. But just like breadfruit, it is very versatile and you can do numerous things with it. And so the goal of the bread nut affair is to showcase that. So just as we showcase the different ways to make the bread, well, prepare the breadfruit, we are using the bread nut this time. So that's basically it.
Mm.
Okay,
Yeah,
That's
so
and so
tell me
interesting.
some of the dishes the last, because the only so I know bread not you boil it and eat it, I mean no other way. But I would assume, as you said, it could be done any some different ways. But so what were some of the dishes the last time? How they prepare it? 'Cause that will be very interesting to me.
So as I think the last time it was held, I don't remember it being held within the time that I was at community development. I can be wrong, but I know that they use
Mm-hmm.
the bread nut to make cakes and bread. I think tarts and like different delicacies, like different
Okay.
pastries mostly. I don't think they
Mm-hmm.
made drink, but I did mention that it would be good to see bread nut drink
Of course.
this time.
Yes.
There was a few things that were made from the bread nut, mostly like pastries and like bread and that type of thing. So just as we use the breadfruit to make the drink, it would be good.
Yes.
I don't know how if it might be challenging because the bread nut has like a shell. I don't know,
Uh,
but I think it would be good to see the I'll try the bread nut for the bread nut drink for breadfruit festival. Breadfruit Our breadfruit drink sells very fast. People love the breadfruit drink and I love it too because for some reason when you drink that drink, you could become full. You don't feel the need to
yes.
you become
Liquid food. Liquid
satisfied.
food. Of
Yeah, so it's
course.
really really good. So
Yes.
I'm excited to see what we can produce from the bread nuts. And so look out for that information, and I definitely want to come back on everything agriculture to talk more about it once we fine tune everything. So the tentative date for
Yes.
that is June, I think that's June 26th. And of course, that's the week after
Okay.
our breadfruit festival. And I
Yes,
just want to
Beautiful.
touch
we
on
definitely.
the breadfruit festival because I know over
Yes,
the
go
years
ahead.
we've had some challenges, especially relating to parking. We will have parking available. We usually utilize, and thanks to Faith in Christ Ministries, we get permission to have for persons to park in that yard, and then we'll have permissions for some other spots in the area, thanks to the Barnesdale Wesleyan Holiness Church, and we'll try to provide signs and directions for this time around, so that persons can see where or how to park when it comes to the event. I know Bassett is a very quaint and close knit community, and so sometimes people in the past would have had issues with, they want to come out, they come and they buy their food and leave, but we want people to stay and enjoy the festivities. And so we're trying to ensure this year that there are contingencies in place to make sure that everybody feels comfortable. We also encourage persons, there's little cherry bar down the road. You can even park up there, buy a drink and walk up. It's just right.
Yes,
Yeah,
son.
it's good exercise too, right?
What need to happen is that the bands got have a big play field need to be developed and be utilized in the community. You see what I mean? Then that they would accommodate all this stuff. Oh, they have a kind of a beautiful field, but
Location,
somehow
yeah,
they
no,
need
it
to,
is, yes.
the field need to be developed properly and stuff like that. And all this would attract a bigger crowd. The event is growing and they want to remain. I mean, hopefully they needs to come back in. But an event like this that keep going over and over the years and stuff like that, eventually all they feel that the ball field, it's about time that ball field being developed and put in place where the community can actually have their different activities and stuff like that and solve a lot of the. Because remember, Bangor is one of the smallest villages in Nevis, You just come in and you go out, simple as that. But I want to encourage all to support the event next week, Saturday at 12 o'clock on the Heritage Festival. Well, Denise is back. Continue, Denise.
Yes. Sorry about that. My battery was dying. I apologize. So I
Oh,
had to
no
run.
problem.
Yes. So
No problem.
yeah, we want the Breadfruit Festival to also be as big, and we are trying our best logistically to ensure that we provide a safe and comfortable space, not only for parking for persons to dine and enjoy the festivities as well, the music, the entertainment. And so that is our goal for the Basgot Breadfruit Festival. Of course, we have our recipe books, and we try to add new recipes that are feasible and affordable in a sense, so that persons can try these dishes at home. We know growing up, I know the breadfruit cheesy, but there are so many other things that you can do with the breadfruit. And also, I'm gonna try to get a breadfruit drink recipe. I think we added that last year because it's very easy to make breadfruit drink. Of course, you have to use the right
Yes.
proportion. Some people know how to get it really, really good, and I must big up my cousin Stefan and the Nevis Agro Processing Unit who annually
Yes.
assist us with the breadfruit drink. They sell out really, really, really fast. Some people come, they get 3 and 4, they freeze them. I know somebody who bought and sent them overseas last year. And so that is something that we are ensuring that we have lots of breadfruit drink this year so that persons can have. So if you're interested in trying the breadfruit drink, you'll not be disappointed. It's actually really, really good. And I think last year somebody gave me a breadfruit and I attempted it and it was good. It wasn't as good as, agro processing as Stefan, but it was okay.
You see, some
but,
people put in the sweetener, the condensed milk, and stuff like that. So and some put in the spices, the cinnamon and the nutmeg. I mean, and so it depends on how it is made.
Yeah. I use it with almond milk because I'm trying to keep off of the, some kind of
she's getting health conscious. She's getting health conscious. Nice,
yes,
nice. Get away from the
I
cow's
used to
milk.
girl,
Yeah, man. Yeah. You're learning. Yeah, you're learning. Yeah, soon you're gonna get totally ital,
Yes, I've tried, but Lord, I've tried, but sometimes I get really hungry. But gradually it gets better. Gradually it gets better. Sometimes I can't do it.
I love the honesty. No, what I like though, Denise, what I like, right, as I listen to you, Banky, I see how they really need to be maybe a more stronger relationship with the Ministry of Agriculture and the community development affairs with some of these activities that you're trying to put on, because just listening to what you're seeking to achieve, seeing how they marry and how they could help each other, because you just spoke up the Breadfruit Festival and the relationship with the agro processing and that side. But then when an activity like that increase and gets to the level of, let's say, a Mango Fest, and even the Mango Fest itself is putting people now to begin to think, because up to this point, we don't have a match on Nevis. There's no place that, like, there's a mango walk where you could go on acres and acres of mango, and that's it. We do have a lot of mangoes, and it's because of that we have the Mango Fest. But in terms of now causing that fest, causing people now to begin to seriously invest in having, mango as a serious crop. Likewise, the similar thing can happen with breadfruit, where because of the festival, people now plant more breadfruit and they learn more about these different recipes. So now they're selling them, they're using them in more restaurants and hotels and different places. So then the demand for breadfruit becomes more. Similarly with the bread nut, and then that relationship could continue for different products. You can have an avocado fest. You can have a, you know what I mean? And so that marriage between the community, and it will help community development to help the communities in some of these ways, where you can help them to get into whether it's farming or the agro processing side. You could have women's group and so on that get into making some of these things that you're sharing the recipes for and so on. So I guess I'm just thinking, as I'm
Yeah.
listening. So ideas for you. I really love the idea of the Bread Nut Fest and some of these activities. So I really want to, encourage you and encourage people to continue to support you and, support the activities that you put on. It's just about helping to bring our communities together and see, even apart from just the socialization aspect, see how I am beginning to see how we can also be economically beneficial for the community as well. And so I look forward to that. Um, as we talk about community, I don't want to do the Trump ambush. I don't want to do the Trump ambush here, like he ambushed the the president of South Africa a couple days ago. But since we're here, one of the topics that we were on, as you realized before we came in, was cannabis, right? In terms of, so let me first ask if it is okay to ask you anything along that line, because I know we really came to talk about it. So if so, I would not. But I just see that you're here and it's a
Brethren,
part of the
what
conversation,
she?
and you're
I was about to
community.
ask her earlier because she Clifton Estate they give her rum. So man, if they could be able to give her ounce of weed or 2 ounce of weed. We're talking about we are bought up this thing, yeah. We're talking about I just let it like because we use the Clifton Estate to get a chance to wear something more rum. You say rum? We could give her weed too. So I'm glad you put in
So
that.
okay,
We
so
are this we are doing
let,
it
let, let
page.
me let me first but I didn't want to go. I didn't want to get into that aspect of it, so to speak.
They may
But
give her rum, brethren. We could give her weed to it, start butt up
I
the
just
thing. They may give her
wanted
rum. You only say they give her rum. What you talk say? They may give her rum. What you
I just
talking
wanted to
saying,
get I
brethren?
just wanted to get her like view, especially being like in the community now, that okay, the reality is that it is now decriminalized. So it is not like it's something illegal. It is something that you would have to deal with and address in the community. Like, have you begun, or is there any plans in terms of re-education or education, like whether it's town hall meetings or panel discussions or whatever, because it is going to be, but it should have been in my view, because at this point we're not hearing anything at all from the Navy side of things. But are there any plans from your side in terms of at least the education, community education side of it?
Well, I honestly have not thought about that aspect of the community. Unfortunately, I know that the cannabis industry, or the cannabis, I wouldn't, yes, industry has been decriminalized. However, from my standpoint, I do believe that everybody's voice needs to be heard. And so that's something that we can factor in soon. I know that we have a community development officer who is much involved in the National Cannabis Authority, Ras Iroy. Everybody knows him as Ras Iroy, and so I know that he's heavily involved in that. I am open to suggestions and feedback from persons. For now, I can say that what we try to do is make sure that we are supportive of the various groups that are usually, I'm not going to say only, but that are usually associated with cannabis use. And it's not to say that they're the only ones to use, but we try to fully support the Rastafari groups. So of course, we have the One Love Rastafari group, the Ras Ira is that he's a really big part of that group and he's instrumental in that group. And then we have the Higher Heights Rastafari movement, and our department has given them our fullest support for their anniversary celebrations. They're celebrating I think a week of activities, and tomorrow I'm going to put a pin in it and invite persons who are able. They'll be having a fair at the Charlestown Villa, that's in Charlestown. I want to really visit Charlestown Villa, and that is going to
Yes, yes.
be tomorrow in town. And so we have given them as much support as we can. They're also going to have a meeting on Monday, and I'm going to be there. I was invited to attend, and I'm going to give them my fullest support and hear their concerns and see how best we can give them support, because I do believe that everybody, so just how we are doing the Heritage Festival, because we know the community has evolved and we know that persons are from different walks of life. We know that persons have different interests, whether it is the cannabis use or whatever the case may be. And so my goal is to make sure all groups are heard. And so I am definitely going to sit in. Well, I'm definitely planning to visit tomorrow and see their festivities and be a part of it and make sure that I give them my support as a community development practitioner. And on Monday, I'm going to be present as well to just hear what they have to say and be a part of the discussion. And everything is not going to be perfect because, I have not been heavily involved in that aspect of things. So my job for now is just to hear their concerns and whatever challenges they have, and if there's any way that I can assist, I will. And in the interim, I would definitely just try to give them my support. So as it relates to that, I am open to that possibility. And as I said, I definitely try to make sure that we, as a community development office, give our support to those persons in the community or those groups and be a part of the discussion and see how best we can work with them.
Okay. The reason I asked, right, is because of like when I look at some of these activities, even the multicultural activity that you're gonna be having, I know there is provisions like last year when they had music festival, they had like a 420 free zone, so to speak, where people who want to use it, or they would have had an area to where people who have products, because apart from the smoking, there are people who have, whether it's soaps or shampoos or different products that are being made from it and so on. So in an effort to sensitize and educate and so on, I was wondering if things like that would be a part of maybe future plans for you guys, because okay, this is part of also me seeing the need for people to get out of that mind frame that when they hear of cannabis or the discussion of cannabis comes up, that we only limit the debate and discussion to smoking. But even in an event like that, culinary, there are a lot of dishes that you could have cannabis infused dishes, whether it's pastries, whether it's cakes, whether it's actual food. And this is a big thing globally. Even big companies now, beer companies, rum companies, juice companies are infused cannabis. So there's a huge industry side from a community standpoint. That's what I'm talking about in terms of your role or your department's role in terms of the education and re-education and helping to normalize it in our culture, so to speak, because now it is decriminalized, and so that is kind of where I was looking at it from. So because we really need to have that discussion and make that move forward, because that's one. Well, here on Nevis, we have not heard anything from the Minister of Agriculture, which is the minister who is responsible for the medical rollout on Nevis. So I understand your position in that sense, because I guess you still would be looking for leadership to really kind of start the ball. But I am looking at it because of the role that you play still in terms of community. So maybe maybe not you or your ministry may have to start to take the initiative and do the little research and say, okay, this is important. We really need to be doing this, because if we don't, we already, because like the card is already out, because it's already legal. What are you gonna do now? Are we gonna continue to just pretend as if it is not and continue to fight it like we used to, or are we gonna now re-educate our people and move forward with it? So that was the kind of line of thinking I wanted to share with you. So I understand that you're open to, I'm loving that you're open to engaging and learning and so on. And yes, we really want to get that kind of approach where cannabis is concerned. So if there's anything else you want to share, I just wanted to get your view on that topic, so to speak,
I
since
think
that it was a part of the
it's
discussion
very
before you came in. Yes.
So as it relates to that, it's important to involve all the stakeholders, and of course, when I say all, I mean agriculture, community, the legal aspect of it, and gauge the responses and move forward. But as I said, I don't know. I know the general information, but I don't know any extensive information. I think last year for the Agro Expo, we got to see that side of things, and it was interesting, and a lot of people were excited actually, and so it is something that is, well, as you said, has been decriminalized, and as we look towards the future, it just is important. It's important that we get all stakeholders involved in that discussion. I know that the discussions have been held on Sankis, so I guess it's up to those persons who are involved to give that nudge and start the ball rolling in Nevis.
So maybe community affairs could start to organize some maybe panel discussions with some of these stakeholders. Okay, so this is cannabis, right? But not just cannabis though. I'm thinking one of the things that I think is lacking in our society, like we have the literary debate in society, and it's activated usually coming close to the Leeward Islands debating competition and so on. But we don't have much more opportunities for the young people to debate on various topics. And these are things that we sometimes need to have discussions on in society, and it will help them in a couple of ways as well, because I think one of the problems that we have in our society is with our people, our young people, not being able to resolve conflicts well. And I think debating and having these kinds of activities would help a lot in that way, because they would be able to practice to have a heated debate or discussion, and at the end of it, okay, you won the debate, or we come back next time to have another, versus getting angry and it turn into a fight, or it leads to the end of someone's life. So that's the backdrop in which I said that. So yes, cannabis could be one of the topics, but whether it's becoming a republic, things like that, we could have discussions and engage the public and so on. And so that might be something that the community development could consider as community activities to help stimulate things in the activity in communities as well. Yes, Banky?
Okay.
No, just saying that information when it come to the debating, I'd reach out to them, the sixth form debating society already to have a discussion on the medical water industry part of it. You know what I mean, the cons and the phones. So, but timing is off. So hopefully one of these days they take it up when it's not too late. Cause this is it's perfect timing now for them to take up the challenge and bring the material forward and stuff like that and get the community involved. And it's a good gesture and stuff. But I just say the authority itself, the head is not leading. So for the young lady to take up this, it will be a bold step because who is in charge is not talking about it, and then the Minister of Tourism is not talking about it. But yet on the other side, I think it's Mrs. Henderson is moving forward with the Echo Park and whether you want to use as the part where you go for the lounge and all the different stuff and the music festival and all these things. But the Navy's end is a different way. But the nation before you go, I mean, they just wanting to anyone who just joining in, just give us a quick overview of the activities and stuff like that, because it's always important to give a good recap because people come sometimes for time.
Oh, well, yes. Once again, I just want to thank you both for having me and giving me the opportunity to speak about our upcoming events and also to have some fruitful discussions with you both. And for those who are listening, I just want to encourage all of you to come out next week, Saturday, May 31st, for the Nevis Multicultural Heritage Festival. This event will be held at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park starting at 12 p.m. noon, and we'll have lots of activities and we'll have various traditional foods and also national dishes and different food items that you can try from our various countries and vendors, and we'll have agro-processors and art and craft vendors. We'll have cooking demonstration, mixology contest, domino competition, and the prizes for the domino competition, I forgot to mention, 500 for the first place, 300 for the second place winner, and 200 for the third place winner. Registration fee is $10 per person, just $10. And the entry fee is just $5, and I assure you it will be worth it. So come out on this next Saturday, and have a good day. So mark your calendars if you have not done it yet. And I expect to see all of you who are on the live, who are on Nevis, and of course St. Kitts at our event next week.
Well, not even just St. Kitts and Nevis. We want people from Anguilla, from Statia, Saba.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Wherever in the neighboring islands, Montserrat. Yes, come on out and be a part of it. It's it's a multicultural activity. Everybody is welcome. Come out and represent. Bring out your flag. Wear your national dress or national colors or whatever it is, and come out and share. Let's learn. For me, I love those kind of activities because I guess maybe that's another reason why I loved teaching social studies, because it helps you to learn different cultures, different way of life, different religions, and it's always fascinating for me. Learn different dishes, the way people use things. As you talk about, you have never eaten Filipino food. Well, I have submerged myself with the Filipino family here in California because one of my cousins is involved with a Filipino, and so I have been introduced to a lot of the things that they cook and so on, and a lot of things that they use are things that we take for granted. Like they use the sweet potato vines and they cook with it. They cook with the tops. They cook with the tops of the beans. They use the flour of the pumpkins. The yellow flour that comes in. That's a very much. They use the leaves. They cook with bitter melon, what we call lizard food. The fruit itself. They use a lot of. They do a lot of eggplants and okras, and so a lot of greens are in their diet. Moringa is a big thing in their culture. The leaves, the fruit itself, they cook the fruit like it's string beans. They cut when it's young. They don't let it get hard. where the seeds are hard and so on. They use it when it's young, so you cook it like a string bean. So it's always interesting to have those experiences. And so I really want people to come out and support your event. And I really want to let you know also that you are welcomed back anytime. And so whenever the other activities, feel free, just let Banky know, and we'll welcome you. Thank you for listening. I appreciate having you here as well. And so yes, we do look forward to having you.
Thank
So
you.
feel free.
All right. All right. You take care.
All
All
right
right.
then. Good night, everybody. Take
All right. Good
care.
night. Bye.
Uh,
All right. Yes, and that was Denicia Smitten from Community Development. Greatly appreciate her coming on and sharing some information about the Heritage Festival coming up. Yes, and also let me put in here part of my duty as the PRO for the Charleston Secondary School. Coming up for the 75th anniversary, there's a community breakfast tomorrow right at the taxi stand right there in town next to the Newcastle bus stop. You will have the special will be goat water, only $25. Everything on the menu is $25, and this initiative is for good cause of school repairs, especially renovation of the hall. The hall is is where we have assembly and had some class I wanted to in the inside of it. But if that hall could be renovated and turned into like a proper auditorium with AC and windows and stuff like that, the space could be rented as place for wedding reception, even meetings, whatever it is, parties, and the school can have an income. So also some of the other fundraising will be taking place first. We'll have the PT for the other repairs that will come to the renovation of the hall also, which is very important. And also I want to call on the government to the 70th anniversary to inject some funds. The Minister of Education, Child Life, but this initiative should we find the resources where the school shouldn't have to be going around doing all these things. This is simple common sense. Inject the money in and renovate the hall, and help with this and make sure it is successful because it's over 75 years and it looks the same way. So it shows the school have been neglected by our government, and by now we should have a proper auditorium with fully AC, and that space could be used for different stuff. And the same thing goes for junior and high school. So I'm advocating for both schools. Okay. I also want to big up my good friend Joel, everybody know as Ginger. This is graduation time coming up, Yason. I'm making sure you ain't sticking the car. You're like move, so I'll make sure you don't stick. I froze. Just
yeah,
make
man.
sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
just make sure.
I posted.
I
I
know
posted. I tried to share the link. I tried to share
No
the link as
problem.
we here talking.
All right. So let me big up Ginger because she's been doing some good works here. She have an initiative coming up because graduation coming up, and she do juicy bites. So I want to big her up on her cooking, her culinary arts that she been doing when it comes to cooking and serving the community. What happened is she put in an event, an old school dance in Newcastle of Shars Road by Lushes. This initiative will have EK, different DJs and stuff like that. And because it's graduation time and in every parent have, it come with a lot of expense. And some of these, after the dance is like $25, $30 at the gate. And some of the funding will go towards the St. Thomas's Primary School, also the VOGM Primary School and the St. James's Primary School to help with the students who is less fortunate when it comes to having a good graduation. So I want the community ginger, you might know as Jewels, and then she will also taking part in the Mango and Food Festival, where she will be doing her mango flavored juicy pork. That's what she call it. So definitely her book sample. She's not going to give out her secret. What I think, Ginger, what you need to do is to buckle that sauce. Okay, if you have a gift with that talent, where everybody love that flavor of that mango juice where you put on the pork or whatever it is, you must bottle it and label it and sell it. I think it's the right thing to do. She also was talking about her sister Julian, who do desserts and stuff like that. I mean, they have their own little thing going on where they do catering desserts for weddings and different stuff. Not too sweet, because I know that dessert do we tend to be very, very sweet. Hers seem to be not too sweet and just right where if you're a sweet person and going about your blood sugar and all this different stuff, this will contact Julie and they'll be the and also Joel who do our catering and stuff like that. So definitely I want to big up Joel for that initiative to be helping out 3 particular schools in one. So some of that money will, after that dance, that event will go towards to help some of the less fortunate children. So let her know you hear this initiative. Anyone who want to put anything towards what she's doing, the cars, you can always give donation and stuff like that. I know she would like to get the Greenhouse Band, the Garlic Hour, to be a part of the dance. Remember, it's an old school dance, so you have Rec Life, you have EK, I think you have SG Presidential, that's Ziggy for Idella. Been doing some good things there. Remember when he started, so you got to big up Ziggy big time. I mean, he's been all over upon most of the events. Most flyers you see Ziggy, so I'm very proud of Ziggy from when he started and where he's at now, staying true to the music and stuff like that. So Ginger, big up yourself. So just wanted to put in that and also support tomorrow at the taxi stand, 6 o'clock sharp. Support the Charleston Secondary School 75th anniversary, the PTA breakfast, community breakfast. And some of this the stuff on the menu. You'll get scrambled eggs, boiled eggs, sausage, liver, saltfish, Johnny cakes, fried plantain, pumpkin cakes, banana pancakes. Then you have your teas, your mint, your basil, lemongrass, and you have coffee for those drinking coffee. And everything is $25, and you have goat water. So you can't beat that. That will be the special. And remember, tell them Banky send you. So you hear it first on Real Entertainment. All right. So Yason, I also want to go back to calling out again.
I'm laughing because as I list call out some names, again talking about the 75th anniversary and well, my teaching career in a whole, a lot of these are students of mine. Because Joel is a student of mine from primary school. I taught them at St. Thomas's. Because that's where I started my teaching career, and my teaching career started at St. Thomas's, and then I went to St. James's. So I taught at St. James's for a year, and then I went on to CFBC, and then when I came back at St. Thomas's, and then they moved me to CSS, and then I worked at CSS ever since until I resigned. So Ziggy, two of the top DJs on Nevis, Ziggy and DJ Toby, are 2 of my students, and I remember those days with them. When they get them MSI computers, those were the computers that the government gave out first, with the first set of computers. That brings me to another point again. As I saw in recent times, there was some delivery of some device. I'm not sure if it's a tablet or something that was given out. A lot of people had a lot of things to say back then when that initiative started, the giving out of the laptops to students in schools and so on. And it was fought vehemently by this government at present that we have. However, I always strongly argued, even though the program was not as organized as it should have been, it was a wonderful initiative. And people like Ziggy and SG Presidential and DJ Toby are perfect examples of the benefits of some of those devices, because though they might not have been used in a traditional academic way, they were able to still use them and were able to develop their skills, downloading whatever DJ apps and so on came out at around that time and so on. And they were able to Serato. Even before Serato, there was another one that they used to use. I don't remember that, but whatever it was, they were able to use these things and develop their skills. And now they're in a position where they are the top names in not just some of these guys, not just in Nevis, but in the federation, because they've competed.
Plus Ziggy travel out with Martin and station support of the music.
Yes, and
yes,
they,
that's a beautiful thing.
So yes, I speak to that as to show that it was never a failure in terms of affording the youths the opportunity to get access to IT at that time, technical devices at that time. And so when they stopped that program, I was very, very much disappointed in that decision. And I don't know how anybody could have justified that when we are seeking to move towards advancing in technology. And here is it that you are giving your students the device that can help to propel them to the next level. And you start to fight that. But, give thanks to Joel and the activity. I want to also encourage folks to support it, because seemingly this for a worthy cause, to give back to 3 schools, to see that also that young people are seeking and thinking along that line. I want to encourage whoever to go and support the dance, old school from, way back 90s, and going back. That should definitely be something to enjoy. Okay, seems as if Banky might be frozen.
Start over, Yason. You've been breaking up. Start over that. Catching up between. You started. Start over from scratch.
I was just saying that it's wonderful, when we have people doing things like that, young people doing things like that, we need to support them in such things, because it's a wonderful activity, giving back to 3 schools. And, doing the old school, taking you way back is not going to be nothing slack and, it's really just taking you back down memory lane. Hopefully that people will come back out in the way they used to dress back in the 90s and so on, the old school thing and so on. And it should be a good activity. So I really want to encourage folks to support the system and all those who are, a part of it. It's a worthy cause. And I really love the gesture to be able to help parents in a time like that, graduation and all that. So, I really, really want to, encourage her. So let her know that, you heard it here on Real Entertainment Network and Everything Agriculture. So, enough respect, sister, and your promotion, enough respect and all that you would have been doing. I got a chance to listen to a little bit of her show earlier on today on another platform. So I heard some of what she's into, and I'm really, really proud of her accomplishments and what she.
Good people.
We just have to continue to empower our people. That's all that I'm saying. Empower our people. Support your own. Whether it is a local small business person, whether it's a farmer, whether it's a plumber, whether it's a contractor, that's how we are going to go when we help each other and support each other. So, that's my 2 little cents on that. Somebody saying, very disappointing to hear that the CSS school is in need of maintenance. The NIA should get more involved in the 75th anniversary of our historic institution. Yeah, definitely. Also, let me see what else we got on the line here. Okay, mindsets needs to be changed. Then we will see movement in the right direction. I think that probably would have been earlier when we were talking about the cannabis. Rutlin Hill is with us. Carlisle Paris, Aaron Ato Heiligo. Okay, we read that already when she said she missed the date, and we already gave the date. She said thanks, but sorry, I'll miss out. Nevis Multicultural Festival, Saturday, May 31st at the Malcolm Gishard Park, 12 noon. Come one, come all, make this another successful cultural event. So that was Ras Ujima, Carlisle Parish, just making sure that people who logged in actually got the information. So enough respect to that, King.
Yes, sorry.
Alvan Brown logged in. Carlisle Parish. Okay, so he was the one who made that comment in terms of very disappointing to hear that the school needs maintenance. It's to be thinking about it. 75 years and the hall still look the same. And as you mentioned, Banky, can be transformed into something that can be a revenue generator for the schools as well, so that they don't have to be in a position where we continue begging for everything,
The space is a big space, so the space can be divided into 3 different rooms. You see what I mean? With the bathrooms put in the place. They'll figure it out, the layout and all the different stuff. But it could be divided just like Four Seasons Ballroom. You have one big hall, but they're divided into 2 or 3 rooms. Where you have a division in between,
Right.
and if you want to make the whole hall, then with the whole hall we have 3 different activities and not half full and stuff like that. So it's something which need to be done, and it will be even better if they take half the roof and put on a whole roof and go upstairs and next level upstairs and
Right.
stuff
That
like that,
would
because you
be
just may have to make the investment with the money that's been wasted within the Federation of Frigates and Navies and other stuff. We should have a proper both Gingerland and Town High School. But let me get back to community event, community regular programming, going back to the jock squad. Can I want me grab before we go? And the harassment of its citizens is very important that we keep beating this drum, because you have regular responsible citizens who don't get themselves in a problem, growing their few cannabis trees in the yard, and you have the jock squad and the high command walking in people's yard without no warrant, and even with warrant that have a wrong people name and I charge them, so don't get some lawsuit, because some of these people gonna already have the law in place. So the government would be getting out of lawsuit because they're breaking the laws. And rule number one, the Drug Act is fighting against its citizens' constitutional right. You see, these are the things we have long
But Banky,
lawyers
one of the
around here.
things you see, but one of the
Yes.
things too, one of the things that you find happening in our society, and sometimes especially when it comes to cases that relates to the government, or in the case of, let's say, police
Mm-hmm.
offending the public and so on,
Citizens, yes.
one of the things that they do is try to stifle the people by using a lot of internal maneuverings and so on, and keep back the case and so on. And so sometimes, the case draw out and 10 years and 11 years and so on. Because, okay, for example, there's a recent case in Jamaica where there was this guy who was arrested by the Jamaican police. I think it's in 2014. And he was arrested for some minor cannabis charge. And they beat him up and so on, and he eventually died. And
Wow.
it took them 11 years. The case has just been dealt with, and the 3 police officers were charged, right? But see, it took 11 years since 2014 for that family to get justice. And there are a lot of other cases, because the lawyer was on Muta Baruka's show talking about, well, sorry, it wasn't on Muta, well, I heard it on Muta Baruka's show. It was on a news article,
Yes.
a news line. And they were talking about many other cases with similar
But yes,
situations where
remember, these things are wrong because our navies and thing only and like Amiga constitution is different to other Caribbean countries, because our constitution had engraved to protect us for the use of cannabis, As that's the problem. That's the total difference. Weed have never been illegal in St. Kitts and Nevis. You see? The Drug Act. All the years, all the fight me don't get, you don't get, and harassment don't get. And now the smell, no, this never work. Don't have to pay up. They're harassing its citizens around the whole country. People calling me every day, brethren. Even
So
Ras
that's what I'm
I was a part
saying.
of the Cannabis Authority and a member of the One Love Rastafari. They go in the man here and take out the man thing. So you show them man just not care. So when the drug squad, and I'm calling out again, Kartika, he's a part of the high command, and they think about cannabis. So how can the police officers in the drug squad are the task force going around telling the citizens, law-abiding citizens who not committing any crime, that they can only have one tree? So I need the Commissioner of Police in St. Kitts, also and the Deputy Commissioner of Police in Nevis, along with Mr. Carty and the drug squad, where they get book, and they come to the general public, they're telling people to have one tree, and the tree too big and it too this, where they get these measurements from and all these rules from. When the Drug Act and when the ecclesiastic part is not even in place, that even had a meeting to say to address the way far when it comes to dealing with, supplying those different faiths with free license or whatever, hypothetically, if they're doing this thing, a meeting not keep yet. But yet the drug squad got nothing to do. Instead of getting themselves familiarized with the way forward and left this thing as a memoriam where they don't have to trouble about it, harassing its citizens and coming up with all kind of charges about smuggling. It is wrong, brethren. These things are wrong.
But those who put the laws in place should be the ones who should be helping to guide the police officers. So the reality is our people need to be mechanized with our executives. So the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Ecclesiastic Affairs, and them we really, because watch here,
Watch.
remember the
The way
police,
how
even
this
though
is
they're
going with this
autonomous,
thing, remember, you know, the general public gonna react, you know, right now the patter boil over, you know, because how much when you
well,
push up your own citizens
so
back against the wall, the pot gonna
they
boil
need to
over, and you're gonna be against the citizens
they need to
against
petition.
those in authority. So
They
that's
need
what
to
gonna happen. The
petition. They
petition
need to
gonna
protest.
yes,
And they need to
yes.
demand that the elected officials do what they're supposed to do. And then if they don't, then they're supposed to know what to do in terms of whether calling for a vote or no confidence, vote them out when the time come. I mean,
Yes.
these are things, this is what I'm saying, but it takes for our people to get to the level to understand that these issues are issues and who and how the channeling should go in terms of addressing them. The police is wrong, and they're giving people wrong information. Okay, so then these people now need to get a lawyer and carry the case before
So which
the
mean
court.
the high command just want the young upstanding females and male who are having their jobs, whether it's at Four Seasons, in the bank, at the hospital, or any institution, to lose their job then by giving them charging them for guns and whatever it is, my cannabis, my for smuggling. So they want them to lose their job then. That's what they're doing. If you're coming into my house, you're not going to warrant. So which these things ain't supposed to stand in the court. These cases are going to eventually get thrown out, and the government going to keep getting a lot of lawsuit because the police is violating people's rights.
Hold on. Because of the same drug act that you're talking about, and I think it was the Illegal Firearms Act or whatever. There was a point where they went and made some sort of amendment where they
if they suspect you, what is suspicion? What is suspicion?
Yes.
Suspicion is not a charge.
So,
that's not a charge.
so,
what is suspicion?
no,
you see me when you suspect me?
What I'm saying is that whatever it is, amendment that they would have made is what they're going to use to justify their claim of coming without a warrant, and they're going to say that they came on the basis of...
you can't come in. No. That they're not a walk.
Hold on.
That is wrong. You can't come in and place with no warrant, brethren.
Banky, if the law give them the leeway to do it, you can't say it can't happen. If they went in and they amend something to say that if it is because of drugs or if it's because of gun, we have that right to go without a warrant. Then if they come without a warrant and they use that argument,
when a drug then away, but you see drug apart from what apart,
no. That is the premise that they use. Remember they're gonna come to you and say that this is what they come for, you know. So if when they come, that is the argument that they make, then they would have the right to do it in terms of, well, it's not really a right, but when they go in front of the court, they would be given the justification because they would say that was the premise in which they came under. So I'm just trying to clarify that part, right? But the reality is when it comes, and that is why we need to have the moratorium when it comes to cannabis, so that they can't come for that. So when they come, it had to be that they had another reason to come.
You're abusing
and then let them use that reason.
They've been abusing their citizens.
Yes,
because the moment you're using saying you can only have one tree and the tree too big, well, who give you to justify a tree too big? Well, you understand that. You want to let you how big to come? You see this nonsense?
This is why we have been begging those who are in authority to come to the people and speak to the people. We have been begging. We have been pleading. But it's only we. So until the other people who are complaining to you, Banky, tell them stop complaining. Let us either get a petition. Let them sign a petition. Let me sign a petition and let them see that.
But no, when the people are ready to sign a petition, you know, the people are ready for these things, you know.
And then
the people say bring the petition forward and they sign it. Just bring the petition forward, and the people are ready to mobilize. Because it seems like they want mobilization. The people are ready to mobilize and start to put a two signature. The 200 sign the paper with the both hand. They're ready for it. So make it happen and we move this thing forward.
They can't continue just being in a corner and complaining.
This is not a continue work. No, this is not a work.
You have to stand up for your rights. And
The
that is
people are
what the
taking them
politicians are
harassment.
taking advantage of. The politicians are
Yes.
taking advantage of the fact that they know that y'all are docile people and y'all are going to sit down and just grumble. And so they do whatever. And that is why in a lot of cases, they don't come and consult with you. They go in the house and make a law. And if you want to make noise, you make noise. And only if you are going to make noise anyway, it ain't going to be enough to even make them go back and amend it. And so these are what they continue to do. And this kill. Because if you go in the house a law, that is going to benefit me. Well, how come you ain't come and consult with me and let me have a part of the discussion to say, well, okay, this is how I think it should go or whatever, and then I make a decision. So you're making it for me. So why not consult with me? And this kind of disrespect is what we have been continue to have these people feel like it's the norm. And until we, the people, begin to take on our responsibilities as the employers and realize that it's we who hire these people and they're working for us. They're getting paid. Mr. Eric Evelyn is getting paid with cannabis under his portfolio in agriculture. So he's getting paid for it. So
And
he's not
about
coming
it.
to us and telling us anything about it means that he's getting paid for not doing his work. That is what is happening technically.
Wait,
And it's the same
wait
thing
till
with
about the
Honorable
poultry.
Jeffrey Hanley and St. Kitts.
Wait till
And
about the
St.
poultry.
Kitts.
Tell anything about the poultry. You can't tell about the poultry there. That's what you tell about cannabis. That's what we're
Well,
talking about.
and St. Kitts, Mr. Jeffrey Hanley,
Yes.
in his portfolio now has recreational cannabis or personal use of cannabis and spiritual or religious use of cannabis under his portfolio, which means that is a part of his paid responsibilities. He's been paid to address this issue. Mr. Eric Levin is paid to address this issue. So it means
So
then
is this
that is
this
another waste of
coincidence?
money.
The two ministers not talk about it. So this is the coincidence. These two ministers not talk about it. This I want to know. Is this a coincidence? This sound like a coincidence to you? This is planned.
No, but what I know is that enough of our people are not calling them out because the divisions need to call out Mr. Eric Nevis.
Well, me not
and the
stop, you know.
folks
Well, we not gonna
within the
stop because we
federation
educate. We
need to call out
we educate the
Mr.
general
Jeffrey
public,
Hanley
so we
and
have to
St.
call
Kitts.
them out. We're gonna call them out because they're
So
not serious, and we're gonna continue this conversation next week again. Yes, son, when we come forward, but definitely, we just want to tell those who tuning in, greatly appreciate them for sticking with us and being a part of Real Entertainment Network, and continue to share the link, and remember to switch over to the YouTube channel because on the Facebook the shows them has been deleted after a certain amount of time. You there, your son?
yeah, man, I did, yeah.
You like we stick a little bit. Yes, so
Yeah, I
just
was just
want to
trying to
thank
send a
those for
message
tuning in
to
and continue supporting. And remember, if you want to be a part of a sponsor of Real Entertainment during the Everything Agriculture Show or the topics, you can just reach out to myself or Yason or Ira or any one of the team, Alan or Reese, and let them know you'd like to sponsor your business and be a part of the program and stuff like that because you enjoy listening to the shows and the information is right there. So definitely, people, continue growing your herb. When the police come in front of your gate, take out your camera, record them, let them know if they understand they're violating your rights, and the Constitution give you the right to protect you. And this and call for case because ain't not none police about no 1 tree and no size. They're lying to you. Okay, record them, get your law involved, and sue the government, and hold your representative responsible. Yeah, so you could play them. Yeah. So you can start on the music right now, and then we sign out. But yeah, son, that is my wrap up. Tell the drug squad, stop harassing the citizens. That is my thing.
Yeah.
Tell the drug
Well,
squad,
I
stop
am with
harassing
you.
the citizens.
I am with you 100%, and I am with the moratorium. The government needs to tell the law officials to have a moratorium right now on cannabis. I know that they're fighting,
Yes.
Crime and drugs and whatever. Fine. But look for heroin and PCP and crack and Mali and fentanyl and all of these things and so on. Them, they are drugs.
Leave the herb alone, man. Leave the herb alone.
Cannabis is an agricultural crop.
Non-poisonous plant, man. Non-poisonous plant. They're going to pass laws in non-poisonous plant.
In the meantime, go for them crime there. When you put your laws in place and you have your places where a man can go and get there, whatever it is that they need to, then you could maybe try to come with them kind of arguments. But at this point, no. And you need to, those who are in authority, need to educate the officers, because if officers are telling people that they could only have one tree and they love
Yes.
saying something else, then we have some breakdown in issues. And then it also means that you're putting the law officers in a position to be sued by citizens. And it means
That's
then
it.
that you are going to, whatever you're trying to are allowing them to do now, in the long run is going to cost us, the taxpayers, because when the citizen sue the government, they're technically suing us, the taxpayers, as well, because the money that you all are going to have to pay are going to be as a result of our taxes anyway. So that is why it is also important for us as a people to really hold these people accountable, because whatever it is that they do, it is at our cost. When they do foolishness and they have to pay, it is our cost. When you bring in a machine and say that you know that the building would have cost so much, and now you got to be paying rent for the machine, it costs us. When you clean up a piece of land and all the equipment there to deal with the project, and you leave the project and don't do it, it costs us. And you, the people, need to realize these things and begin to hold your elected officials accountable and make sure that they consult with you. And that's how we're going to wrap up this evening. I do hope that we, could get an opportunity to come back here again. And when we do, that we could see some of these changes already in place in terms of the drug squad easing up on people and the government really doing what they're supposed to do in terms of coming to the public. And we could hear that Sir Eric Evelyn is going to have a big town hall meeting or some big live campaign and so on.
Like your night demand, no? You like your night demand, the minister. Sir,
and we would hear from the Honorable Jeffrey Hanley as well in relation to the Ministry of Ecclesiastic Affairs and the way forward for recreational and spiritual or religious use of cannabis in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. With that, enough respect, everybody. Be sure to log into our YouTube channel. Check us out on YouTube, Real Entertainment Network. Subscribe, like, and share. Enough love, everybody. Guidance and protection.
Show and tune in. It's inspirational, educational, and you won't want to miss it. It's everything agriculture. Hey, this man Easy inviting you to tune in. It's all about everything agriculture with the man Banky.